the Daily African Proverbs.
African father in America. Tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. Tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. Africa, tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. America. Tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze.
You are listening to African Father in America podcast by Simon Javan Okelo, live from Seattle, Washington, USA.
Thank you so much for joining me for an amazing session of the Daily African Proverbs. And today we are taking a virtual journey to Chad. We are discussing a Chad proverb that is teaching us, a really, really special lesson here. We are going to, explore this proverb, and hopefully we are going to grasp three things around this concept of, when is it okay to give up? When is it okay to quit? When you know that what you're working on might not be the best way to spend your time, or it might be too risky for you to be spending your time doing whatever you're doing. And the proverb is going to, give us a little more light into, number one, why quitting or giving up might give you a little more time to do things that you love, might allow you to be less stressed, and overall allow you to be happier, and also might allow you to be more productive and not burned out. These are some of the things I want us to explore today during our conversation for the Daily African Proverbs. Thank you again for those who are joining us on YouTube, and thank you for those who are joining us here on Clubhouse. I see Thomas and Fred and Rosie and Hugh. Thank you so much for being here. I just want to invite you to join us on stage if you're on Clubhouse. And I am going to share the link for the live stream. I am live streaming on YouTube as we speak. So I am going to share that link with you in just a second. I am live streaming from Seattle, Washington, but I am from Kenya, Kisumu, Kenya originally. And, I'm always excited to host the Daily African Proverbs. This is my morning routine, and I hope you'll get some value from this amazing proverb. The proverb says, if the man in front falls into a hole, do not follow him. If a man in front falls into a hole, do not follow him. When I looked at this proverb, I felt that sometime giving up is probably the best thing to do, because according to this proverb, if somebody that was leading you falls into a hole and you witness it, many times, if you are so brainwashed and you don't know why they fell in the hole, and you are only used to following people and following other people's lead without thinking through it, without being an independent thinker, and without the willingness to take another route. And taking another route might mean, or might seem to be giving up. But it's probably the best thing for you to do, especially if you want to spend more time surviving from falling in that same hole that you saw the man in front falling into. And also, if you want to be less stressed, because if you fall in that hole, you're going to be dealing with broken limbs, you're going to be dealing with injuries for a while, you're going to be dealing with healing yourself, which is something you could avoid if you gave up on that journey that was leading people into a hole. And then you'd find that you have a little more energy reserve, you have more energy reserve that you could utilize in doing other things. And you'd also protect yourself from being burned out. These are some of the things I am grabbing from today's proverb from Chad. Again, the proverb says, if the man in front falls into a hole, do not follow him. I want to see what you all think about this proverb as well. So if you're on Clubhouse, I'm going to invite you to join us whenever you have a moment. And also, if you're on YouTube, I want to invite you to share the link to this live stream with your community members, and also leave us with your comment. When you see this proverb from Chad that says, if the man in front falls into a hole, do not follow him. What comes to your mind? Many times when we are so used to a specific routine, for example, if you are working 9 to 5, myself, I worked 9 to 5 jobs for a while when I moved to the US, which is something I never did much of when I was in Kenya. When I was in Kenya, I used to basically create my own jobs. I worked immediately before coming to the US or moving to the US. I worked as the field director for Africa for Solace International, which was a large non-profit organization founded by a US person. And I created this job for myself. It was a job that involved building schools and health clinics, and starting businesses in a number of countries across Africa, about 6 different countries. I was really never employed with that job. I was being paid based on the savings I was able to create from the projects I was executing. And most of these projects, I was also, doing them based on the relationships I had with these communities, and then fundraising. That's how I began traveling to the US. I was, fundraising at Wall Street, meeting, donors. We traveled across the US fundraising for these projects across Africa. But when I eventually moved to the US in 2010, I began working 9 to 5. And I've done many different jobs. And the mentality of working 9 to 5 is different from the mentality of doing your own thing. And a lot of the time, you might find that the leader in your team or the leader in your organization is leading you into a hole. But you have to jump into that hole, because that's the only way you can pay your bills. That's the only way you can meet your obligations, but if you have and I have to say that it's a privilege to actually be doing something for yourself, especially in the US or even in Kenya, where I come from originally, to be running your own business. I grew up with a mother that she worked 9 to 5 and she also had her own business. So I was learning how to be disciplined, how to be respectful to employers, and also how to be loyal to a boss or a company. But at the same time, I was learning how to run my own business, And so that was a privilege that I had. And many people are not trained like that from a young age. Many people are not trained on how do you start your own business? How do you survive with very minimal resources while growing your idea, if you don't have somebody that supports you and trains you and educates you on how to sustain yourself from your own business, you have to end up being employed. And a lot of the time, many of the corporations that we work for, we do not even believe in these organizations, but we are forced to work for them. We are forced to work for people that are not leaders, but they're also following instructions that are leading many, many people into many, many holes. If you now take this proverb and even look further to the current situation in Ukraine, the Russian president is clearly leading people to a hole, and even if you look at some of the press engagements he's having officially with his cabinet, for example, the Security Council meeting that he had before he invaded Ukraine, you find that even physically, he was quite a distant from the rest of his security Security Council. And then everybody had to say yes to the idea of recognizing the breakaway regions of Ukraine, to the idea of invading Ukraine. Everybody must say yes, otherwise, your life is in danger, basically. And so even though he's leading Russians into a hole, they will have to fix Ukraine. They will have to pay to make Ukraine what it used to be before the invasion, and that's expensive. But also they will have to reverse all these sanctions against Russia, and that's a lot of money, a lot of lobbying, and years, maybe decades worth of digging themselves out of this hole. In Kenya, in 2007, after the elections, there was the post-election violence for months in 2008, and we are still digging ourselves out of the hole that we put ourselves in as a result of the post-election violence that happened in Kenya. So when you look at this proverb and some of the examples that I have shared, I hope that we all learn that it's true that if you probably quit the moment you saw the hole, if you gave up the moment you saw the hole, you might think that you are weak, you are not good enough, but you're just reserving your energy, and while reserving your energy, you are creating more time to do the things that you love. You're allowing yourself to live with less stress and to be happier in general. And also, you are allowing yourself to be more productive and not burned out. Those are some of the things I want to share. And I want to just listen to Thandisizwe for a moment here. Thandisizwe, I hope you had a nice weekend, and I hope that you're doing well this morning. Share with me your perspective on today's proverb from Chad. The proverb says, if the man in front falls into a hole, do not follow him. And also make any comment on some of the things I've been saying. Thank you so much.
Grand Rising. Happy to be here as always. Sometimes I wake up and I say, "Oh, is it 8:30? Is it 8:40? Is it 9:15? Did I miss it?" Okay, it's like, okay, daylight savings time. This clock is wrong. It's 7:15. I haven't missed it yet. So just want to affirm you and let you know that the work that you're doing is appreciated and important and enjoyed by me, and I know that others feel the same way. So thank you for that. Um, Still here in on the East Coast, I should say. Last time I talked to you, I was in Auburn, or we were in Auburn, I should say. Now we are in Cambridge, Maryland. Um, again, celebrating the life of freedom fighter Harriet Tubman, and just an extraordinary woman. The trip has been amazing. I've been learning so much. It's been such a great vibe with me and seven others from Minnesota, activists, artists, entrepreneurs, community leaders, and organizers. And going on these stops that she went on the Underground Railroad. And I've been thinking a lot about WWHD, what would Harriet do, right? I say WWMD, what would Malcolm do? What would Mel Reeves do? Rest in peace to Mel Reeves. Um, and it's like, while I'm here, specifically, we went to her home a few days ago. I feel like I can do anything, right? It's like if Harriet Tubman did it, I can do it. And that kind of makes me think about the proverb, um, today's proverb, if the man in front falls into a hole, do not follow him, right? So I think on one hand, we have to learn from those that have come before us what to do and what not to do, right? Um, I think that oftentimes we don't use the resources the lessons, the elders, the wisdom from the elders, right? That are at our disposal. If my mom is showing me all the things that she's done wrong, why would I want to in that way follow in her footsteps? And my mom is very big on that. My mom is my best friend and my biggest supporter. And as a 72-year-old, she's like, this is what I've done wrong. These are the things that I shouldn't have done or shouldn't be doing. And I do not want you to be that way. I want you to be better than me. She always says that and she means it, right? Um, and then on the other hand of that, thinking about Harriet Tubman is like, honey, follow me to freedom. Okay. Oops, there's a hole right there. I tripped in that hole last time. Don't go in that hole again. And I think that sometimes our ego, and our pride, well, I know what I'm doing, I know what I'm talking about. We don't want to listen to the elders, right? We don't want to listen to even our peers that might have traveled that same journey that fell into that hole. Because it's like, well, what do you know? You're my age. And I think that we have to dismantle that thought process. Um, because when one win when one of us when we all win, it's a collective. We have to be more unified, right? And two, I think us um I think us realizing that um I think us realizing that it's okay not to know, and that some of the smartest people in the world know that with all the knowledge that they have, all that I know is that I know nothing at all, right? So when we know that, okay, Simon has this bid, and maybe Tandy will cook the vegan food, and Harriet knows how to, you know, follow the drinking gourd, right, and follow the stars to lead us to freedom, and and we realize that, and we know that I'm never going to have it all. So let me make sure to not fall into that hole. I think that we'll be in a better place. Again, thank you so much, Simon, and that's all I have to say.
Amazing, 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 Tanrisizwe. I'm just so fascinated that that you took the time to explore the route that Harriet Tubman took and the stops, and I'm just so fascinated by it. So after it ends, I would love for you to just delve a little deeper with us here in the Daily African Proverbs sometime. So when is it ending? When are you ending your current adventure?
So we're actually going back to Minnesota today. We're going to DC next in a few hours, and then we're going to like the African American Museum there. And then I was going to go back to New York for a week because my family is there. And, just even thinking about the proverb today, me and my mom had a conversation, and, she was just like, I think that you need to come back to Minnesota and focus on some things. So I had to say, okay, what is Mom Duke saying? Let me not fall into that hole. So I decided to go back home, instead of extending my trip so that I can take care of business. Just trying to be a better person and learn from the past.
Thank you so much. Well, I definitely would love to host you as a guest sometime in the next 1 week if possible. So I will send you the link that you can use to to reserve, to book your session with me. Hopefully we can have a conversation where you share with us why you decided to do this trip. This is important stuff that you're doing, and I also know that the decision you made to go back home instead of extending your trip is equally important. So just so much love and respect to you, and thank you for your continued support. Now I want to invite Mimi Houston, who is an amazing supporter of the Daily African Proverbs. Share with us where you are joining us from, and what today's proverb. This proverb is from Chad, and it says, "If the man in front falls into a hole, do not follow him." Share with us what it means to you and where you're joining us from.
Thank you, Simon. This is Mimi. I am reporting in from sunny Florida. I'm on my porch with a fire, drinking some coffee and thinking about this proverb. And thank you, Simon, for this space. Hi, everyone else. When I think about this proverb, I think about the nature of leadership. And I wonder if the protagonist in this proverb, the person who's following the man in the front, I wonder if they're following the wrong leader and they've mistaken the person in the front to be the leader when in fact sometimes it's not the person who's the loudest or the alpha or the one in the front who is the best leader, but oftentimes there are maybe in the back or a part of the group, or perhaps even the protagonist, ourselves. This proverb is speaking to us. Perhaps the leader is in ourselves. And in this proverb, then I'm thinking about how perhaps sometimes we follow the person in front when really we need to recognize the leader in ourselves. And I think I'll leave it there. Thank you, Simon.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you, Mimi, for your contribution and also for your continued support. It's true. What you shared is much similar to my monologue at the beginning of our conversation today, where I was actually talking about sometime realizing, there are several situations where you might realize that the leader that you're following is going to get into a hole. And I was giving an example of corporate organizations. There are some corporate organizations that are great, but majority have leaders that lead the employees to a hole. And when I talk about the hole, I talk about burnout. I talk about working for 40 years and living a horrible end of life because you spent majority of your life, when you had the energy, slaving for somebody. That is not a good thing to do for other human beings. So you're leading people into a hole, but because somebody is making profits, it's a good thing. It's a good hole for people to fall into, but nobody speaks about it. The power that many corporations have, if you actually dissect and share with the world what exactly is going on under the hood, many people will shut you down. So that's a hole that we actually need to be speaking about, but also we don't even need to speak about it anymore because the pandemic spoke about it. If you see the huge numbers of people here in the US who are leaving their jobs and creating their own jobs, is massive, and it has never been seen in years before. And also, if you see the number of people who are working from home, and that is the only option they're giving to potential employers, it's also massive, So it's an indicator that people are realizing that this is a hole that I've been working towards, and now the pandemic has allowed me to see the value of my family, the value of nature, the value of a good meal, and the value of just taking time to digest being alive. So the hope that we have here today is that by the end of our conversation, you learn that sometime giving up or sometime quitting allows you more time to do the things that you love, allows you to be less stressed and happier overall, and also allows you to be more productive and not burned out. So those are some of the themes that I want us to explore. But the center of our conversation is this proverb from Chad that says, if the man in front of you falls into a hole, do not follow him. I want to pass the microphone here in a moment to Afifa. But before I do that, I want to invite you who are on Clubhouse to do for me a couple of things. Number one, please ping in 5 people to join us for this conversation. If you don't know how to ping people in, the best way to do that is on the second bottom portion of the second button at the bottom of this of your screen, you'll find the option to share. And when you click that, you'll see that you're able to share on Clubhouse, you're able to share outside of Clubhouse, and at the very bottom of that drop down menu, you'll be able to invite people who are in Clubhouse. That's what pinging is. And also you can clip. It's the third button at the bottom of your screen. It has that Caesar, icon, and you can, clip some of the things that we are saying in this room and share it on Twitter and use the hashtag Daily African Proverbs or AFIA podcast. That's African Father in America podcast, and we will be able to amplify, whatever you share there on Twitter. And then finally, if you are here on Clubhouse, I want you to subscribe to my YouTube channel as well. The link to my YouTube channel is at the top of the room, and you'll be able to see my face. I am live streaming right now as we speak. So Afifa, thank you for your patience. I would love for you to take the mic and share with us where you're joining us from and what today's proverb from Chad means to you. Thank you so much.
Hi, thank you. My name is Hafifa, and I'm joining you from East Africa, Tanzania. This proverb reminds me of my personal experience. For the past few years, I've been experiencing some very rough time of my life. I lost my best friend from domestic violence. She used to have a boyfriend who used to hit her from time to time. And I could talk to her and tell her, try to stay away from the guy, make sure you do some efforts and you break up with him. But she could always insist that he'll change. But the guy never changed, and it got worse. It was getting worse day by day. And there was this day that the guy beat her to death. So I lost my best friend. It was in 2017. So that really taught me something, that if somebody is facing something, you should actually learn from that person. A year after, I got into a relationship, and the boyfriend was abusive. He could verbally abuse me, treat me badly. And just because I treasured that person, I didn't want to break up with him, expecting that he will change, but he didn't. So for the first time, he hit me, and it reminded me of my friend whom I lost a year ago. So I did one of the best decisions in my life, to leave that relationship. But it was not easy to leave, but eventually I broke up with the guy, and I am very grateful that I did. So this proverb reminds me of that personal experience. Thank you.
Oh, Afifa, thank you very much for sharing that, that personal experience. And also, may the soul of your friend rest in peace. It's not easy what women go through, especially in the hands of abusive men. So I'm just very proud of you for your courage, and also the lessons you learned and how you've applied them in your life. And I hope you continue sharing this story, because you never know who is listening now, and you never know who else needs your inspiration. Because a lot of the time we might think that that what we have to say is not useful, or our experiences are not useful. But what you just shared is so important, especially now. Growing up in Kenya as a young boy, I saw a lot of women being abused, And sometimes the abuse went too far that we mobilized and went, and and also we actually ended up beating the man, or doing things that we should have not done because we perpetuated violence. But now that I'm a father of 3 girls, I'm actually much more sensitive to to this issue, and I just think more of us need to talk about it, but especially the men. I hope we are all listening, and I hope that we can do more about this. So Afifa, thank you, and I hope we can stay connected and hopefully have a broader conversation about this before the end of March, which is Women's History Month. So thank you again so much. Hey Carl, thank you for joining us for the Daily African Proverbs. I hope you're doing well. Share with us where you're joining us from and what today's proverb from Chad means to you. The proverb says, if the man in front falls into a hole, do not follow him.
Hi, Simon. Thank you for having me speak here. All right. I should tell you, I'm a Canadian citizen, but I live in Mexico and I also live in Central Europe. I try and live in 3 different cultures. And I am a full-blown, outrageous entrepreneur. So to me, the idea of following somebody else into a hole does not hold the same danger as for other people. Let me give you a different perspective. Imagine that you're standing on the Central African plain and you can see about 400 miles in every direction. Well, there's no opportunity there. You can see everything, so can everybody else, and everybody can see you. The only thing that's unknown is the hole in front of you, the place where no one else goes. So if somebody has gone into it already, the most interesting thing you could do is to jump in the hole right after them. And follow the hidden path, if you will, to a new opportunity. Other than that, you're going to end up doing, as you said, the same thing over and over and over again. You're going to work for somebody else. Now, you said, you work for a corporation and they're abusive. Yeah, but the real problem is you have made a choice to play in a game where the rules are written by other men. Well, don't complain if they write the rules in their own favor. Almost nobody in this world, with the exception of certain well-known tyrannies, among which I'm rapidly counting Canada, you're free to write your own rules. You're free to be your own fellow. And when I say that, ladies, please understand, I grew up in the 50s and 60s where we were taught to use the male pronoun to mean masculine, feminine, singular, plural in the body, corporate. It's just my way of speaking. I'm not going to get rid of it, and I'm not going to say them and they and theirs. But you follow a fellow down a hole that you want to be the fellow that he's writing his own rules, and you want to be that same sort of fellow. There may be, I understand that for most people, the proverb that you've suggested is a pretty good one. Somebody gets into trouble, don't jump in with them. Stay out of it. Let him solve his own problems. But look at it from the other side, that unless you're willing to get into a little bit of trouble, unless you're willing to challenge yourself, unless you're willing to create a game where you can write the rules, you are going to work for somebody else. And you're going to, it's just a continuation of high school. You'll be 64 and a half years old, hoping to turn 65, so you can retire, get a gold watch, and go on a cruise. It'll tell you when to show up, when to talk, when not to make personal phone calls, how often you get a bathroom break. I mean, this is just kindergarten. But that may be the life that you have as an alternative to jumping in the hole and trying to create a game in which you write the rules for yourself. Simon, you've been very kind to listen to me. Thank you.
Yes, I love your perspective. And it's true. If you're not willing to jump in the hole, you might end up working for somebody. So with the proverbs and with wisdom, it's like fire. We all get it from each other. So thank you for your perspectives. And also, I want to just bring a comment from M. Jewel Aduoa, my wonderful sister Aduoa, who is on YouTube with us. She says that let's not forget men are often abused and not assisted at all, as if it can't happen. So I just want to bring your attention to that it's true that men also experience, domestic violence as well. And this is important too. This is important too. And one of the things I was actually, watching last week in Kenya, particularly, was there was a lady that was abused by a group of taxi drivers. Motorcycles are also used as taxis in Kenya. And around early last week in the evening, there was a lady that was driving, and she almost killed a taxi driver. And then a gang of other motorcycle riders who use their motorbikes for taxi chased her in the capital of Kenya, in Nairobi. And once they caught up with her, they surrounded her car and basically sexually and physically abused her. And it was all caught on camera and shared online. And after that, the government, even until now, they're still cracking down on motorcycle taxi drivers. And all the motorcycle taxi drivers in the country have suffered as a result of this incident. And so you find that in this particular case, it was the men that did something horrible. But then, as women were advocating for this woman so that she could get justice, other men began bringing this story of, men also get abused sometime and they get no support. And so the response from women was, why is it that you bring stories of your problems when we are actually advocating for a woman that just went through a big challenge? Why don't you consistently bring up your own issues the way women do? So there is always this back and forth that I always appreciate, that we need to give a voice to the struggles of men as much as we do for women. But in this moment, I just want to just focus on women, just focus on women because, in my opinion, especially being raised in a household that was led by a woman, and I also witnessed some of the abuses that she went through. I just want to say that the people that need our support the most, the people that need to be protected, are our women. And I'll stop there and go to you, brother. Brother, how are you? What does today's proverb mean to you? And where are you joining us from?
Peace and love, family. This is Brother Earth. I'm calling from the North Carolina territory. I hope all is well with you, Simon. I'm blessed this morning. And honest to all those who have spoke, giving their insight and bringing the understanding to the wisdom of the ancestors. And when I look at this, there's two things that I see. It's an old saying that a smart man learns from his own mistake, but a wise man can learn from the mistakes of others. And then my mama used to all the time say to me, if your friend go jump off a bridge, that means you're supposed to go jump off the bridge too. So with all that being said, it's be able to think for yourself. And whenever you see something that's not right, just don't follow it blindly. Be able to have your own discernment and do what's best for you and your family. And that's what I'll say to that right there. Peace and love, family.
Peace and love to you, Brother Earth. I agree. Do what's best for you and your family. Thank you very much. Hugh, thank you for joining us, Hugh Turner. I'm just grateful that you took the courage to be here on stage with us. I would love for you to, take a moment, share with us where you are, where you're joining us from, and also what this proverb means to you. Feel free to unmute and, share with us your thoughts. I suspect that you might need just a little help with getting to your unmute button. It's at the bottom right corner of your screen. There you go.
Thank you, Simon. I'm new to this environment. I enjoy the proverbs and I enjoy the comments that I've been hearing. From my perspective, however, being here in America, there are many, many holes that have been created to appear very attractive. And at the bottom of our holes, those of us who may fall in, we may think we are going to find salvation, economic security, friendship, love. All of these, to me, are illusions because we are in the hole because we don't really know who we are. And we've been here, in America, we've not been taught how to think. We've been taught to follow, and we've been taught by the media to ascribe to conditions that are not in our best interest. So those holes that are all around us are very attractive because they allow us to escape the tensions and the stress that being in this type of environment, this type of culture, puts us in, makes us feel. So I think we're going to fall in holes, but I think the key to staying out of that hole, the key to not following those brethren who do fall in, is to begin to know ourselves, our true selves, and not the self that's been sold to us by Wall Street, Madison Avenue, and other venues. So that's my take on it. And thank you for allowing me to speak.
Oh, thank you, Ew. I just love your voice and I love your perspectives. Thank you for your contribution. And I have 2 comments on YouTube that I want to read before I pass the microphone to Ejlal. But before I do that, I want to actually invite you all to check out my new book. I wrote a book for the very first time. It's called Rooted in Love, and it's on Amazon and all your favorite, bookstores online. The best way for you to get to the book is to go to my profile on Instagram or my profile on Twitter, and you'll see the link tree. And when you get to the link tree, you will be able to just click the Rooted in Love, which is it's the top drop down menu on my link tree. And then you can grab the book. There's the hardcover book, and also there's the digital version of the book. I would really love to hear from more of you who have read the book. I'm just beginning to do a lot of outreach, and you'll be seeing some of the virtual and in-person tour dates around this book. But it took about 6 years for me to put out this work, and it took the village for this work to be made possible. It's a book that has an essay, and it has a fictional story about a little girl called Farida that had benefited from the work that I do with One Vibe Africa, which is a non-profit organization I founded in 2008 in the wake of the post-election violence in Kenya. And now One Vibe Africa works both in Kenya and here in Seattle, Washington, where I am based. So part of the proceeds from this book goes back into the work that I still do with One Vibe Africa, and also helps me pay some of the salaries for some of the people that are even in this room. People like Stella and Steve. These are people that benefit from the work I do with One Vibe Africa. And there was even a student that benefits from our work who was in this room earlier. She has left. Her name is Chelsea. So check it out. And, if you're just joining us for the first time here for the Daily African Proverbs in the African Father in America Club on Clubhouse, please follow the African Father in America Club. That's also the name of my podcast. My podcast is called African Father in America, and it's available across all podcasting platforms. This conversation is going to be available on your favorite podcasting platform, from Amazon to iTunes to Spotify, about an hour after this conversation ends. And also on YouTube. One of the ways you can also help right now is to subscribe to my channel and invite 5 of your community members to also subscribe so that we grow our presence on YouTube. Now, I want to quickly read a comment from Kay Benjamin on YouTube. And Kay said, entrepreneurs are working for someone else. We are fooling ourselves if we do not follow long established rules. We pay dearly. Know a hole for yourself when you see it. And then Kay Benjamin added something here, that if you keep up with the speeding drive, I'll hold off on that and read a comment from Steve that Kay Benjamin commented on. I thought Steve had a very beautiful thought here in regards to this proverb. And Steve Okoth, who is also on Clubhouse, and my colleague at One Vibe, Steve says, this is more like driving behind a speeding driver in a road full of potholes without keeping distance. If he or she hits a hole, you too will hit the hole. And that just took me back to Kenya and driving on roads full of potholes. And you'd literally see one driver hit one hole, and all the drivers will think that that's the only way to travel that road. So everybody would just be bumping on that hole, until one driver takes a different route, which is smoother, So that was actually funny reading. But Kay Benjamin adds to that and says, if you keep up with the speeding driver, you may not see the hole. Don't speed. That's beautiful. Now back to Clubhouse. I truly first, before we go to Ejlal, I want to thank you all for being here with us. Kay, the Pan-African, Richmo, Johnny, Ku, Tandeka, Rio, all of you, Roman, Alicia, all of you in this room on Clubhouse are deeply, deeply appreciated. Now, Ejlal, Elamin, how are you doing? And what are your thoughts on today's proverb from Chad? It says, if the man in front falls into a hole, do not follow him.
Hello, Simon. I hope you're doing well. This has been really interesting, and listening to the inputs from everyone and the contribution has been quite enlightening in so many ways. My internet is not the best, so I hope you can hear me well.
I hear you well. Just get a little closer to your mic. I hear you very well.
All right. Okay. How is it now?
It's so perfect.
Is this better?
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, pretty much the whole picture that has been drawn by the contributors ahead, it just lines up to the overall idea of this. How for me it's about setting boundaries, and how do you allow others to influence your life, and how you own your life. It's about life and path ownership, and how you decide on your own, even under the influence of others. It's okay to ask for opinions, for insights and everything, but at the end of the day, ownership of your own life and your own decisions is the key. it's so easy to lose focus, and it's so easy um, to get to get involved in rabbit hole of others, of the influence of others, and that being a manager, a boyfriend, a husband, a friend. It can be anyone, even close family. How you hold on to your ground, and how do you own your own life, even if you do take intakes from others. One word about Hafifa, because I could relate to that, but in a very milder way. It didn't go to the point where I had to lose someone for that, and I feel so sorry for hearing this. But people can take you into rabbit holes without you even being mindful about it, which is really sad. Yeah, people with troubles can drag you down in their troubles, and they can label it with things that do sound very benign, but it can lead you to falling into their holes under that umbrella of empathy or sympathy or love or any other um, good emotion or good involvement. But you need to be quite objective about how do you decide over that, and how do you decide your next step, and making sure that you are actually helping without being the both of you in that hole. Thank you so much. I'm not going to take longer, and this has been quite insightful. Thank you, Simon. Over to you.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you again for your contribution. Today, Ajlal, where are you joining us from? By the way, I didn't catch that part.
So I'm Sudanese, but at the moment I'm in Oman, Muscat.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Oman.
Wonderful. Yeah, wonderful. It's amazing for me. One of my favorite things, one of the things that brings me here every day for the daily African proverbs is learning where people are while we are here together. I'm always fascinated by geographical locations, the time, when we are gathering here, what is it that someone sees outside their window. And for a while I was actually really fascinated by the sounds that I hear when people unmute their mic. Some people unmute, you hear a car passing by. Some people unmute, you hear someone snoring. Some people unmute, you hear a child laughing. And for me, the life behind these microphones and these faces is really important to me. So thank you all for always sharing your lives and your just your time with me from Monday to Friday for the daily African proverbs. That's something that I can't pay you back for, and I can only thank you. And with this, we are wrapping up our time together today. Carl, I see you tapping your mic. I'll give you a moment.
Yeah, thank you, Simon. The lady K who said that entrepreneurs work for somebody else, let me just suggest as gently as and diplomatically as I possibly can that attitude or that point of view is exactly the opposite of my own. I would be hard pressed to find something that stands at a further distance from what I've seen. Entrepreneurs are those people that are actually trying to write their own rules, and that includes never working for somebody else. They benefit other people, sure. Other than that, their output, their product will have no value. But that they are working for somebody else, that they're somehow bound to somebody else, that's exactly what they're trying not to be. And I will tell you, Simon, from my own experience and having done nothing but that since I got out of high school, they stand apart. They walk away from situations in which you may have to work for somebody else, just simply to put food on the table, but that's not their life. With that, thank you very much, Simon.
Thank you, Carl. I just want to respond to you too in a moment. and also on behalf of Kay, I do think that it depends. Some entrepreneurs are privileged so that they can have a long haul of living in multiple countries and having a backup where if they screw up, they have their uncles and their aunties and their fathers and their mothers and their sisters to give them some assistance. But some entrepreneurs who grew up with nothing, if you screw up, it's a big problem. So those kinds of entrepreneurs are entrepreneurs who are still, at a stage where you have to work for somebody. The people you work for are your clients, and even you and any other entrepreneur, you can't produce and consume for yourself. You have to produce an idea, a service, a product, and sell it to your clients whom you're working for. So I think no one is an island. I think entrepreneurs create the ideas to serve the community, and that community is whom you're working for. So I think that's what Kay might have meant. But not to say that to do a back and forth with you, Carl, but it's definitely a privilege, and there are entrepreneurs who have actually not really understood the real grind of being an entrepreneur. For example, me, I can claim that I've seen the real grind of being an entrepreneur because when I was 8 years old, I was given a bicycle to distribute milk and bread in our neighborhood. And I learned entrepreneurship from that young age. And I saw my mother struggling to feed our family from a young age. And so if a mother could put her children out there to help her, provide, that's a radical entrepreneur. For me, my mother was a radical entrepreneur, and she was still working for our community. She was making sure that all the smaller shopkeepers had bread and milk on time. And because she could not do it on her own, she had to employ us and other people to get these supplies to the people on time. And then those other shopkeepers made sure that the consumers that needed the milk and the bread received it on time. So it's a cycle of interdependence. You can't be on your own. Now we are about to close, but I see that Elder Sean has joined us on stage. So Elder Sean, please share with us your closing remarks in regards to the proverb today. If the man in front falls into a hole, do not follow him. And also share with us where you're joining us from. Then we'll close after that.
Many blessings to the room, Simon. Thank you. It's a great honor to just give a quick oversight. I'm in South Africa. I'm in South Africa, and as you heard, it's 16 hours.
Dear Elder,
And
could you get
wisdom?
Elder, this is Simon. Could you get closer to your mic just a bit? Yes, I hear you, but I want you to get closer to your mic just for a moment so that I hear you well.
Can you hear me any better?
Yeah, it's much better. Thank you. Keep going.
Yes, bless. Thank you. I'm in South Africa, and I just would like to say great knowledge and wisdom that is passed, really. Of course, and I say that to a certain extent of common sense, not to jump in, not to fall in the hole of, with any person that goes into it. And to making sure, first and foremost, that we never give up. And I say that it is a trait which I have found continuously within the African spirit, more so, of always looking for and making a plan to succeed and get through, especially of those within the diaspora, because that is how we got here, of never giving up, and all the many stories of going through to where we are now. Now, again, the problem is, and I say one of the concerns right now, we're in a deep hole, and the only way we got there is we followed other individuals into that hole, not looking. So I will not jump into the hole even though those are gone before me. I will make sure that when I go forward, even if I have to go into the hole, because that is one of the ways to look, and as you may understand, who moved my cheese of the three mice. But what I'm explaining is that don't just jump in the hole, but look and be wary. Be careful, because there's a lot of knowledge that is being withheld from us of our great past and our great knowledge that we once knew. And the only reason why that we're in this position is because we jumped in the hole after others who were looking for something and they didn't find it. So what we need to do now is to assess where we are and look at the best way, perhaps, to come out the hole and each individual to find their way forward. Who moved my cheese is a great analogy of this. And I give thanks and blessings for today. Simon will speak more, and I thank you. Thank you.
I thank you too, Elder. I thank you for being here with us today. Richmo, you were at a noisy place earlier, so you could not speak, but you joined us on stage, so you are going to close this session for us today. Please share your perspectives on today's proverb from Chad, and also share where you're joining us from. Thank you so much.
Hey, hi everybody. This is Richmo, Moses Kichuhi. That's my name. It's an honor again, Simon, to be in this space. I saw the title and I was like, wow, it's so passionate. I'm so tied to it, because what to me it means is mentorship. That if those who've gone before us have fallen before, that there are lessons to be drawn, and mentorship is key component in making sure that we don't repeat the mistakes. And if you can mentor somebody, the first instances might not be easy. The chances are you might even fall in doing that mentorship. But if you embrace it, you never know how many lives you'll be blessing and saving. So, Richmo, I didn't have much to say, but mentorship is what really stood out. Done speaking.
I appreciate that. I don't think mentorship has been mentioned throughout our conversation today, so that was a good way to close us out for today's session. Now, before I push the end button, I want to recognize Johnny and Tiff and Jay, who were some of the original hosts and moderators of the Daily African Proverbs. Thank you for being here. I also want to recognize Dr. Moby, the explorer, Aris, Shomari, and Sarah. Those are some of the people that supported this place, in the very first few weeks of its existence in 2021. So thank you for making the time. And also to everybody who is here with us, who is joining us for the first time or second or third, thank you very much. We are currently hosting the Daily African Proverbs on Monday to Friday. And we will be changing the topics because we are experimenting. I'm currently working closely with Stella, who, ensures that we grow this space, and so we are going to be testing different topics every day, taking these proverbs and exploring different themes with each proverb, so that we can maximize how much we learn from these 1 hour sessions that we have, because ultimately our hope is that we make our ancestors proud and we make them smile in just knowing that we are discussing proverbs that they've always discussed. These are not new pieces of wisdom or conversations. We are just continuing with the work similar to what Thandisizwe was doing by following the path that Harriet Tubman took to free some of the slaves that did not know that they were even slaves. So now we've come to the tail end of our conversation, and I just thank you all for making the time. And I still want to encourage you to nominate people into the African Father in America Club if you are already following the club. If you are not following the club yet, I want to encourage you to follow the club so that we can grow our community here on Clubhouse. And then I want to ask you to tap the link at the top of the room if you are on Clubhouse. I imagine that if we have all 23 of you subscribing to my YouTube channel, we might get to 2,000 subscribers today. So let's try that. I'll just give you a few seconds to tap the link at the top of the room and subscribe to my YouTube channel. I would really, really appreciate that. And then finally, check out Rooted in Love. You know, this is an amazing book that comes out at a time where the world needs this kind of conversations. And so Rooted in Love is available through the link tree on my Instagram and Twitter profile. Thank you again so much. And this marks the end of our time together today.
African father in America. Tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. Tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. African father in America. Tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze.
You are listening to African Father in America podcast by Simon Javan Okelo, live from Seattle, Washington.